What is going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys my build. It revolves around using Stabbomancer Berserker. We get a lot of gun damage stacked from Stabbo. We go for cryo weapons or frost weapons, and we get a lot more bonus frost damage from Berserker. So without any further ado, let's just get into the items, into the juicy skill tree, and all that makes this build just shred the endgame. So for weapons, mainly for mobbing, we're going to be using the ×4 SMG. Now this can come in Hyperius or Dull. The main way that I found the easiest to get these SMGs is literally just by doing the Chaos Chamber runs and just farming the, the SMG bunny at the end. Is, in my opinion, the best way or the best chance of you getting a ×4 SMG. Now it doesn't matter if you have a Dull or Hyperius one, as long as it's ×4 and it does not have the tagline consumes 2 ammo per shot. Then once we go into bossing, we swap into the liquid cooling, just because the liquid cooling does so much more damage and shreds so much faster. But it's just a really good bossing weapon. But mainly we use liquid cooling for bossing, and then we go into the ×4 SMG for everything else. We also run a Welling Banshee. Now Welling Banshee isn't necessary for this build. The only reason I run it just because the high damage on it. Plus we have Echo, so the high damage on it is mainly just for Executioner's Blade, just to scale that high as possible for damage wise. So this way when we get to crits on Executioner's Blade, we hit for a lot. Now for rings, I run 2 sets of rings. I have 2 rings set up for pistol crit and gun damage. Now it would be ideal to get pistol critical hit damage and like gun damage or all damage down rolled on top of this, but I for the life of me could not. So I end up just using pistol crit on a gun damage base, and this is good enough to basically shred everything in the game. So if you, like I said, if you get like that all damage down on here, or another tagline like one more gun damage, double gun damage roll, this would be very, very strong, and you would get a lot more DPS out of it. But this is enough to basically do all content in the game. Now, like I said, we do run 2 sets. So in our inventory, we do have basically gun damage base, but we have SMG crit. And we just put these on when we're mobbing and we're not bossing using our pistol, just for more DPS to shred the enemies quicker and kind of get our, times per run for the Chaos Chamber down a little bit, just to speed up that mobbing. I will say, I do also have a Goblin Pickaxe, so back to the melee weapon, you could run a Goblin Pickaxe if you want. This is just for the action skill cooldown on it, and movement speed. I have double action skill cooldown with Ancient on top of what the Goblin Pickaxe already does. So this is just a really quick way to get our action skill back if you guys choose to do so. Now for our shield, I am running an Aegis shield. This is the best because we run our armored defense in the skill tree. So we are just going to get a buttload of health. I have yet to find a other shield higher than an Aegis, so I would highly advise trying to get a very high Aegis capacity or capacity shield, and just running armor defense. This way we get a lot of max health, so our survivability goes through the roof. Now for our class mod, I highly recommend running Smart Armor. Since we are going to be in the shadows a lot, the negative critical chance we get from the class mod is irrelevant, since we're always going to be critting no matter what. So it is just an extra 50% critical hit damage. Now you can get 100%, you can get a better rolled one than I do. Mine only has all damage dealt, that's the only thing that's helping us. So if you can get a gun and critical hit damage and all damage dealt on rolled on this, our damage would be even higher than what it already is. Now, for the shield, you could also run a Cursed Wit. The only issue with running a Cursed Wit is it's very hard to keep the uptime 100% on it, because it has like a 6-7 second ward recharge rate on it. So whenever we deplete it, we only have a finite amount of time to actually take advantage of that 100% increased damage out to nearby enemies when the ward is depleted. So there's no consistent way of actually keeping this depleted. So that's why I would advise basically always running a high capacity shield just for the survivability increase. But if you really wanted to push the DPS, you could run a Cursed Wit. And if you are running a Cursed Wit, I advise just getting a Toric pistol, something like this, just so you do self damage and you can break the shield. So we are running a spell, we're running a Cryo Buffmeister, just for the extra cryo damage. And then we are running a Universal Soldier, so this way we get 30% chance on melee hit to get 100% of our currently equipped guns ammo back in the mag. So basically just refills our magazine. We have a 30% chance to proc that. And since we're running Executioner's Blade, we practice a lot, and it basically helps for farming. I will say though, on all the pieces of gear, you want to try to get Berserker as the first for the power, just because this is going to give us a lot more damage. You could go, I guess, for Stabbomancer, but that only increases the duration from the shadows, so Berserker is the better option for DPS wise. So with that out of the way, let's get into the skill tree. So for the skill tree, we'll go down the Stabbomancer line first. So we're running from the shadows, like I said, so this way we can get crits on everything we do. That's from status effect damage, our Executioner's Blade damage, our gun damage, all that's going to be 100% crits. So this is the best action skill you can possibly run with this build. Now, we are going to go to 2 in the haste for a little bit more movement speed. It's always nice. I guess you could, if you wanted to, take the 2 points out of movement speed and put it into Arsenal. It's up to you. But I think haste is good because we are all running Swift Death, so that just gives us more base damage dealt since we have more movement speed. Now we're running Potent Poisons because we're going to get 20% more effective damage plus 40% more effect duration. And this helps with keeping people frozen longer. It helps us with our dots since we're going to be applying dots with Executioner's Blade. So it's just a very good combo. And since we're running Potent Poisons and we're already doing status effects, we are going Exploit Weakness. This way we get 2% increase in damage per unique status effect on the enemy, and we're basically applying every status effect in the game when we go against bosses. Like I said, we're running 5 out of 5 in a Swift Death just for the 10% damage dealt of default walk speed, and since we have a little bit of movement speed, we actually do a good amount of increased damage dealt just by moving. Now, I don't have any points in the follow-up, it's just 1 is in the class mod putting it in, so don't even worry about that, don't put any in the follow-up. Then we're going to skip Nimble Fingers, Shadow Step, and like I said, follow-up because that does nothing for our build right now. We're going maxed out 5 out of 5 in Sneak Attack just for that 50% more crit to offset the negative 25% you get from the shadows. We go 1 into Elusive just so we have a little bit of chance to evade, and we can shoot and sprint, which plays really nicely with Swift Death. We are skipping Contagion. I would like to get Contagion, but it would hinder our things in Berserker, and we really couldn't take Save Your Soul, which really improves survivability when you go down, so I highly recommend not taking Contagion. Then we go 5 out of 5 in 1000 cuts, so this way we get increased damage dealt for each stack, and this ends up being 25% increased damage down to max stacks, which we have basically full uptime on. Then, like I said, we go Alchemical Agent, so this way melee crits apply a random status effect, and since we have guaranteed crits from the Shadow, we're always applying status effects when we're inside of it. And then Executioner's Blade, this is the main way of getting our status effects, getting our increased damage per status effects, and it's a good amount of dot damage. Plus, I've seen this hit up to like 60 to 70, sometimes even upwards to, sometimes even upwards to 100k depending on if they're full frozen and we're that close to them. So it is definitely just a nice little DPS boost, like a cherry on top of everything. Now for the Berserker line, we're going into Ancestral Frost for the 20% increased frost damage, since all of our weapons are doing frost damage. This is just a nice big increase on everything. We are going 3 out of 3 on Icebreakers, so this way, the closer they are to being frozen, the more damage we get. And like I said, since we're doing full cryo, plus we get bonus cryo from just Berserker's class feat, it works and pairs really nicely with the build. Now we go 5 out of 5 in Old Ways, and then our class bond boosts us even more, so we are getting 48% more damage when we're close to the enemy. And then we're getting 40% damage reduction. So we basically, we want to pop our Buffmeister, then we want to go Invis, and then we want to get close to the enemy enough to where we can proc Old Ways, and then we basically just destroy the enemy and DPS dump on their forehead. Then we take 1 into Unarmored Defense, like I said. Basically this just reserves 50% of our ward, but we get 150% increase of that 50% that reserved back as health. So we get a lot of health ended up, and it helps really well. Like I said, that's why we run the Aegis. Just run the highest capacity shield you can possibly get, and our survivability goes through the roof. Then we have to put a point into something to get down to Relentless Rage. So I threw it in Blood Frenzy just so we get some health back whenever we kill somebody. But you could put this in pretty much anywhere you want to. I could see you put it in Unyielding just for that 100% guaranteed health regen. Or you could go a little bit of reload speed, or if you wanted more movement speed for a little bit more damage, you could also do that. But I chose for the health on kill just for a little bit more survivability. And then for our last point, we do Relentless Rage. Basically, when we go down, while we do damage, it restores our Save Your Soul meter, which is insanely useful to help us basically get up out of any situation when we go down. So with the skill tree being covered, let's get straight into the hero stats, our hero points. We go max crit. My background that I chose was Village Idiot. That is the best one for this build because it gives you 10% increased crit off of the Gecko. And we go straight into max strength. So that's 47.5% more crit damage. Then we go max wisdom for that 44% increased status damage. So we're checking a lot as well as doing a lot of damage. And then at the last remaining points, we throw into attunement. Dex, Intelligence, and Con doesn't have anything to play with us. I guess you could go into Con if you really wanted more max health, but in my opinion, the survivability of the build is good enough, so we don't need any in the Con. So I would highly suggest throwing the remaining points into attunement. Now for the myth rank, doesn't really matter. I'm only 179. I just went for more strength, more Con. You know, I'll go through them real quick. Doesn't really matter which ones you throw into. Basically, whatever your preferences for what you want to do. I would advise for Druid probably maxing out attunement first for the build for more cooldown. For Archmage it doesn't really matter that much, but I highly recommend going frost damage first. Everything else doesn't really help the build out, but that frost damage definitely helps a lot. Then Blade Master, I would advise going more strength for more crit, and then Con second, so we get more max health. And then for Deadeye, you want to go for what do you call it? You want to go for more gun damage, and then from there you could do like reload speed, move speed, really anything you want. Real quick, I forgot to go over the enchant, so we'll go over it. So for our main weapon, we're just going to be running a frost damage enchant. You could probably get something better out there, but this is all that I could get on it before maxing it out, and then costing it like 4,000 something moon orbs to reroll, which is fine enough because we use this for mobbing. For our liquid cooling, we go for a action skill star and increase damage out with 20%. This helps a lot for every source of damage that we're outputting. For our sword, we're going for on spellcast increase gun damage by 30%. For our shield, we're going on action skill start increase gun damage by 40%. So right there, we already have an 80% increase, not 80%, 70% increase on gun damage just from those two items. And then for our shield, we also have the same enchant as our what do you call it? Liquid cooling. So if you could, I would suggest probably rolling something else on the what do you call it, on the liquid cooling to try to get a more damage output, but like I said, I couldn't get anything else better to be rolled upon that. So yeah, that's basically covers it for enchants, gear, and skills, myth rank, hero stats, all of that. So that's it for the build, guys. Like I said, it shreds, it does a lot of DPS. I've shredded the whole entire endgame with this, no problem. I've got the chaos level 20. As you guys can see, no problem with the game. With the build, I'm sorry. It does a lot of damage. It makes the endgame bosses and the secret raid bosses look like a cakewalk. It's super fun. You perma-freeze everything, and it's so nice to see and satisfying to see your execution blade just come out of the sky and impale the enemies when they're frozen and just do like 70-80k and just insta-kill them. Now, I do stream everything that you've seen here, all this builds, everything. This is all streamed on Twitch. I'll have that link in the description. We do these live. I do theory crafting. I help the community out if you have any questions about the build, any other builds in general, the game, anything Wonderlands related. So I stream daily as well. So if that interests you, definitely go ahead and follow on the Twitch there. I also have a Discord that'll also be in the description. We talk there, you know, about more theory crafting. If you have questions while I'm offline, just to hang out with the community and talk. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the build, and if you have any questions, you can hit them at you know, the Discord, the Twitch, the comment section, anywhere where it's most convenient for you guys. And that's it. I hope you guys do enjoy the build. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night, depending on what time zone you are. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.